What brings people to a community orchestra? What brings somebody who may have been a music major on a professional path musically to play in a community orchestra in their 30s or 40s or 50s or 60s after whatever else they've chosen to do? Sometimes it was they chose to change their direction and not be a pro. And so what's the story behind that? Perhaps they don't want the pressure. Perhaps they just don't want to be robbed of the sheer joy of playing by the constant pressure to be perfect. I don't know, but I have to be sensitive to it. And I have to know that nobody ever intentionally doesn't do their best. And I know that. And I think that's probably the hardest lesson to learn as a conductor, certainly in amateur situations, that people are not trying to thwart you when they can't do it right. They just can't do it right yet. And so if you can help them figure out, and yourself, you know, I make mistakes too, we all do. And so humility is a big piece of that. I know that if I don't do it right, and I can say, I'm sorry, I need to do that again, maybe that will create an atmosphere where it's not terrifying to make a mistake. Good God, who doesn't make mistakes in this life? I mean, and so when you ask what's different about a community orchestra, it's visceral. It's that we're all growing together, we're all putting together the sum of the parts. Synergy, yes, it's more than the sum of the parts, what we are able to do. And music is like that. And sometimes I'm astounded, that we actually can play a Brahms symphony or a Beethoven symphony as well as we can, and that we can move our audience to a standing ovation spontaneously by the sheer visceral experience of watching people actually play this. Just people like you and me, just sitting down and making music in the moment, turning the darn cell phones off and being in the present. It's worth its weight in gold.
My name is Deirdre Sanders, also known as Dee Sanders, and I play bassoon and trombone, not at the same time. And I think I joined OCO formally as a bassoonist around 2010, 2011. It's a great orchestra. I played in a lot of different community orchestras. I played in youth orchestras. And the level of musicianship is very high. The dedication of the players is very committed. I like that everyone comes, plays their best, but are really low key about it. There are no egos. everyone's there understanding that we're here to enjoy ourselves because we want to be here. So, and also Marty's a great conductor, so I think all of that adds to the atmosphere and the enjoyment, and I love the repertoire. So we play a great variety of music, challenging different styles, different time periods, different composers, and that definitely adds to the experience. Dedication of the musicians, the quality of the performance, but I'll also say the diversity of the orchestra. There are other orchestras in the Bay Area, some of which I've seen, but I think OCO is probably the most diverse. In my orchestral experience, I have been the one black person in the orchestra more times than I can count. And I can say that I am not the only black person in OCO. I am just one of several black people in the orchestra. And the orchestra itself is extremely diverse, with all ethnicities and races apparently represented, and that's Oakland. So I'm very pleased, I'm very proud to be a part of that. One of the unique things about OCO is I just really like the vibe. The musicians are dedicated, committed, highly skilled, but no one takes themselves too seriously. So we're there to enjoy the music, produce the best music we can, play as musically as we can, enjoy the challenge, and you know, I guess I'll say that's it. There's no pretension. There's no pretension. I appreciate that. And then, of course, I mentioned the diversity of the orchestra. And that's to Marty's credit. As the director, she sets the tone. It's very welcoming, it's very warm, it's relaxed, but people are also accountable for knowing their parts and delivering, and we're all depending on each other to show up and to put in our best performance, and I think we do. One of the unique things that OCO brings is it is a unique, it is a leveler. So I've heard about the Army, about the military, that it's a great equalizer. No matter where you came from or your ethnicity or your background or whatnot, you go into the military and everyone is sort of put on the same track and put on the uniform and you're the same. I would say that OCO and a good orchestra can do that. There are different genres of music that are more welcoming and more accessible than orchestral music is. I think jazz is much more open to different musical traditions, different ethnicities, different sensibilities. Pop, rock, all of those have, when you look at who is performing that music, it is a rich, diverse cross-section of not just the United States, but just the world. I think symphonic music has not enjoyed that. When I look at symphony orchestras, When I look at who's playing on stage, they are almost always white European orchestras with some Asians mixed in, and that's pretty much it. And I think OCO has shown that it doesn't have to be that way. When you look at our orchestra, when you look at who's playing the music, we look like Oakland, and Oakland looks like everybody. So I think that's what makes OCO unique, special, accessible. When you look at our audience, it looks like Oakland, and that's important. That's important to Oakland, that's important to the music, that's important to the future of symphonic music. That it be accessible and welcoming and appealing to a variety of audiences. And Oakland Civic Orchestra is helping to deliver on that. And if you can play that on an audition, you might get a job.
My name is Tom Berkelman and I play clarinet. I've been playing with them for 6 years now. It's very much a community group, and it's a serious community group. I mean, everybody in there takes it very seriously. We play very high caliber music, and we tend to be pretty well prepared for our concerts. So it's community group, meaning it reflects the entire diversity of this community, and it's for serious amateur musicians. I like the people, I like the repertoire, I like the challenge of it, I like the fact that everybody there is there to play music and play it at a pretty high level. It's as unique as the community, it's as unique as Oakland, it just reflects our unique community. Just being part of a musical group feeds my soul somehow. It is the kind of activity that, I mean, it's unique just the way it engages your brain, forces you to be in the moment and concentrate on something and put as much of your heart and soul into something as possible. And the collaborative aspect of something is something I like a lot, particularly a large group like an orchestra where you have, 50 plus people intimately collaborating on creating something. OCO is really my musical home, partly because I'm part of this community. I'm not going somewhere else to do this. And I just like the repertoire. I like Marty's approach to everything. I really like the other musicians. It is pretty much my musical home. I mean, I like just working my way through the repertoire. I like sort of adding up the Beethoven symphonies or Tchaikovsky symphonies that I've performed now, and tackling stuff that a lot of other groups won't tackle, either because it's obscure or difficult. Yeah, I mean, I've gotten a lot of opportunity out of this group. I mean, the wind section's always been really solid.
I'm Susanne Rublein, and I play the flute in the OCO. My first concert with OCO was the spring of 1998. It was Marty's first year, but not her first concert. I think she started at the beginning of that season. And I don't know a whole lot about the history, really. I wasn't there from the early days, how it really got started. But I know for me, because our concerts are free, I think it's a great opportunity for everyone to attend and enjoy the music. And I think classical music isn't very accessible for many people. Living where we do, if you want to go to the San Francisco Symphony or even the Oakland East Bay Symphony, it's expensive to buy a ticket. Getting over to San Francisco is, it can be complicated. And I think also for getting to take children, if you've spent a lot of money on a ticket and maybe your kid's being a little unruly that day and then you have to leave the concert early, it's, you feel like, oh, I spent all this money and we didn't get to enjoy it. And I think it's a nice way for anybody to get to enjoy classical music. That's nice, they can go in and out. And there's also, I have seen sometimes kids will just come sit on the floor in front, and that's fine. We like to accommodate everybody, and I think it's great. And having a son now who's 3, we pretty much play all kinds of music for him. A lot of jazz. He really likes jazz. Yeah, he loves to hear music, and he's been to our concerts a few times. And he came and listened to the Tchaikovsky symphony that we did, I think it was last fall, and he sat through the entire symphony. And then came home and said how much he liked it. And just recently, when we did the Beethoven's 5th Symphony, he came, and just for that part of the concert, he sat through the whole symphony. And then we came home, and we were sitting here in the living room. I think I was reading something, and he was sitting there playing with his Legos, and I heard him humming one of the melodies from the last movement. And I thought, wow, he's that, okay. That's good. But he loves music.
Thank you so much. Before we do the Beethoven's 5th, which is a monumental piece of music, I just want to say, first of all, thank you to the orchestra for 20 amazing years of growth and love and music. And I want to acknowledge 5 members that were here since my very first rehearsal. Marty flute, Daniel Gow, Raphael, Wendy Shiraki. You have to stand up. Anyway, to you 5 who voted me in from God knows what, here I stood, and there were times when it was a lot to stand and persevere, but persistence and dedication and loyalty of all of you has meant the world to me deeply for all your service to the orchestra and your friendship.
Hi, I'm Wendy Shiraki, or Wendy Shiraki-Raphael. It seems to happen either way. And I play the oboe and the English horn.
And I'm Roger Raphael. I play the oboe, and maybe I'll play the English horn sometime. Maybe. If people don't know what the oboe is, it's a double reed, sort of high register soprano instrument with a tone that is either gorgeous and song-like or penetrating and irritating, depending on your point of view on that. It's a sort of character instrument.
The oboe family is the oboe. There's also an oboe d'amore, and then there's an English horn, and then there's a bass oboe. English horn, however, is if it's used in a piece, it's often for color because it has a distinctive sound. It's very plaintive. Often it's haunting or hunting, as we say. It's bigger. I don't know how much the difference
fifth
it
lower.
is. It's a fifth lower.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's a fifth lower.
Yeah.
But it's very similar in fingerings. I just love playing it. You don't have to know a whole lot more about playing the English horn than you do the oboe. Of course, I could be wrong about that.
The good thing about the English horn is, the parts are only written for it if it's a worthwhile part to play. It's not sort of a member of the generic orchestra where you just got to give some notes to it whether or not they're really important. You only write an English horn part if it's soloistic somehow. So it's fun to do that. It's fun to be on that instrument for that reason. Yeah. I mean, we've been doing this forever, and it's just kind of an essential part of what we do. I mean, it's Wednesday night, it's kind of the middle of the work week, it gives you something to look forward to and to break up the week and sort of help you get through whatever's bothering you at your job. So it's been very therapeutic, over a long,
you just
long
forget.
period of time.
Once you're there and you're playing, that's all you can do.
Yeah.
That's all you can think about.
Yeah.
But I think that I've certainly absolutely grown as a player because of Marty's guidance, direction. She's given me opportunities to play things that I would never have thought I would ever play. So this has just been a blast for me to be able to do that.
Yeah. It takes some patience, I think, to be honest with you, to lead a group like this. We all know how the music's supposed to sound, and you mentally compare yourself to recordings of professional players. Everybody sort of has war stories to tell after these concerts.
Oh, yeah.
You've accomplished and you've also survived, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, we've had many concerts where the oboe doesn't work, and we've had to trade off oboes. But before this one concert I just recently played, my oboe swab got stuck,
and I couldn't get it out, so I ended up playing on somebody else's oboe. But, in a community music setting, well, I guess anything can kind of happen.
We have adventures.
Yeah.
But at one point, our son did say, you guys never talk about anything except global warming and oboes. So
That's true.
he did say that to us.
He did say
Yeah.
that to us.
The
other. What was it? The thing that we had in common? No. Yes. Was the oboe and a joint love of Star Trek, I believe.
That's right.
So I think that's what he said.
There was some version
Some
of that.
some version of that.
Yeah.
That when his friends ask, how'd your parents meet? Like anybody would ask him that, but so it must have come up at least once.
Isn't that all they talk about?
Yeah, that's all our kids think about is their parents. Yeah.
So that's our story.